and gentlemen, the 2016-2017 Stanley Cup champions, the Pittsburgh Penguins. Ladies and gentlemen, the President of the United States and Mrs. Trump, accompanied by Mr. Mario Lemieux and Mr. Ron Burkle.
By the way, everybody wanted to be here today, and I know why. Well, thank you all very much for being here, and before we get started, I want to say a few words to the people of California, great state, especially with those in NAFTA. Napa has been hit so hard, and Sonoma, as they deal with the tragic loss of life and property to devastating wildfires. I spoke with Governor Brown last night to let him know that the federal government will stand with the people of California, and we will be there for you in this time of terrible tragedy and need. And I just want to pay my warmest respects. They're going through a lot. We also continue to pray for those grieving and wounded after the mass shooting attack in Las Vegas, and we stand in solidarity with those suffering in the aftermath of Hurricanes Harvey, Irma, and Maria. And thank you very much. We have to never forget. To the many members of Congress who join us here today, we have many fans out here, folks. You know that, right? A lot of fans. Not all from Pennsylvania, too, if you can believe it. They are a lot of fans. Members of my administration and distinguished guests, please join me in welcoming to the White House the two-time defending Stanley Cup champions, the Pittsburgh Penguins. Not only are the Penguins the first team in the National Hockey League, literally in nearly 20 years, to be repeat champions, you also captured the cup in 3 out of the last 9 seasons. That's pretty amazing, because I know the competition. Competition is tough. Is it tough? Pretty tough, right? Not for you guys, it's not so tough. Over the last couple of months, the New England Patriots, the Chicago Cubs, and the NCAA champion Clemson Tigers football have all visited the White House to celebrate their great victories. It's been an honor to have them all here. Now I want to proudly welcome the Pittsburgh Penguins owners. First of all, he's a friend of mine for a long time. He's a great, great negotiator. Ron, how about negotiating some of our horrible trade deals that they've made over there? Here's what I want. I want to get him. Oh, I would love to have Ron Burkle. And it's great to have you, Ron. But I really mean that. If you want to get involved in negotiating NAFTA, I like it. Because we're renegotiating NAFTA, Ron. Of course, he may not like that, because maybe he's on the other side. That's what's happening. That's why it's so hard to redo these trade deals, because there's so many other people. You're not on the other side of NAFTA, Ron, are you?
I am not.
And one of the all-time greats, and by the way, a really great golfer, too, Mario Lemieux. Super Mario. And he hits that ball a long way. To General Manager Jim Rutherford and Coach Mike Sullivan, I know you have a really big, it's an early season matchup tomorrow night against the rival Washington Capitals. Are they tough, Washington Capitals? What do you think? Are they tough, huh? So I want to thank you for coming today. But for us, this is really a truly great group of world champions. That's what they are. They're world champions. We have to start with somebody that I've been watching for a long time, because I saw him when he was just about as young as you can get going into the NHL. Sidney Crosby. Where's Sidney? This guy. Man, can you play? Sidney, do you know how to win or what? Look at him, he's shy. Do you know how to win or what? Great. Great job. What a job you've done. 44 goals last season, 89 points in all, and once again, the recipient of the Conn Smythe Trophy. And Sidney, you built an incredible legacy in Pittsburgh, and congratulations. Keep it going. Fantastic. Before it's all said and done, you might, frankly, you know, they're telling me this. Has he outdone you yet, Mario? I don't know. He's getting close, isn't he? He's
got 3 rings.
You know, they have, you might even outdo him. I don't know. He's got to be awfully close, right?
I think he's done it all.
Well, Mario is Mario. And Sidney, congratulations. And Sidney's not the only star that shined for the Pens last year. Evgeny Malkin. Where's his Johnny? Where is it? Looks like he's a basketball player. Big guy, strong, tough. Served as the other half of the two-headed monster. They call it the two-headed monster that scored a combined total of 77 goals. Way to go, fellas. Great. That's fantastic. Fantastic. Phil Kessel. Where's Phil? Phil. Come on, Phil. Come on. Come on. Get over here, Phil. These guys don't want to be politicians. Like, they shouldn't be. Don't be a politician, Phil. Pretty good, right, Phil led the team in assists, although I hear his sister Amanda may be the best hockey player in the family. Is that possible? You know what? I doubt it, okay? But I hear she's really good. Matt Murray stewarded 32 wins as goaltender and is the first goalie in league history to win the Stanley Cup championship game in each of his first 2 years. Where's Matt? Yeah. I assume you have very good reflexes, right? Have you had good reflexes from day one?
I like to think so. Yeah.
Huh? Yeah. Hey, you better have, right? Way to go, Matt. We expect big things again this year out of Matt, as he will be taking on an even greater role this season between the pipes. Connor Sheary, Jake Grunzel. Where's Jake and Connor? Where are they? Come here. Hello. Look out. Nice and shy. That's not a mess. Way to go, fellas. Oh, what a group. And Justin Schultz, also had really big years as some of the young upcoming stars of this team. It's got a team that's tremendous future. Oh, what a group. And Justin Schultz, also had really big years as some of the young upcoming stars of this team. It's got a team that's tremendous future. That's what I'm hearing. Despite being sidelined to injury, that's what I'm hearing. Despite Chris Letang used his experience to help younger players. Where's Chris? Where's Chris? Well, you look pretty young to me, Chris. What do you mean younger players? I mean, they get younger than you? You look it's a very handsome group of people. In fact, I don't like standing in front of them. First thing you know, we always like unattractive teams, right? And devise strategies that spurred the Pens onto a really incredible victory. I'm pleased to report that the Tanger, right? Tanger is healthy and back on the ice this season where he belongs. Going to be a great season for you. Yet many of the players really might agree that the biggest MVPs was your incredible, loyal fans. The Pens face. Boy, oh boy, you do damage. But that's the way you want to do it. It's called winning, right, Sidney? Called winning. I know the Capitals will be looking for payback tomorrow night, so we will let you get back to practice. I just, again, want to congratulate this incredible franchise on its so many victories. You embody the values of dedication, discipline, and hard work. To every young American watching today, we encourage you to always strive to be your best, to do your best, and to give your all. We wish all the best of luck this season. You're going to have a great season. The coach is telling me your team is going to be better than ever. So let's go, Pens. Thank you all. God bless you, and God bless the United States of America. Fantastic. Thank you very much. Congratulations.
And there you have President Trump at the White House welcoming the two-time defending Stanley Cup champions, the Pittsburgh Penguins, as they make a little victory tour there to meet with the president. Hi, everyone. I'm Amna Nawaz in New York. Well, look, championship sports teams come to the White House all the time. In 2017, carries with it a whole different meaning. I'm going to bring in my colleague Rick Klein, ABC's political director down in Washington, D.C. And Rick, I'll be the first to say it. I was surprised that the president did not mention anything about the NFL or the protests or his involvement in that conversation.
The closest he came on is right at the top where he said, I tell you, everyone wanted to be here. To me, that was a direct shot at the NBA and the Golden State Warriors, who, of course, their star player, Steph Curry, said he wouldn't attend, and the president said he would be disinvited. But you're right, Amna, maybe some restraint from the president. I mean, he meandered into inviting the owner of the Penguins to renegotiate NAFTA for him and joking about how he wants teams that look a little less good than the Pittsburgh Penguins. But he didn't mention the kneeling controversy, even though he may have a little bit of a cause for a victory lap of his own on that front, because the NFL has announced that it plans to discuss a policy that would require players to stand. So this extraordinary couple of weeks, which included the Penguins accepting and now taking part in this invitation at the White House, maybe it's a bit of an end point today with this visit and with that decision by the NFL.
And Rick, it's worth pointing out the president's involvement in the debate has maybe potentially moved some action on this. We know, as you mentioned, the NFL owners are going to be meeting anyway next week in New York. We know now, as a result of reporting, that they're going to consider a rule change requiring some of the players to stand. And we know Jerry Jones, the owner of the Cowboys, has come out pretty strongly against this, to say that maybe he's going to say that people who don't stand during the anthem don't get to play in the games. Have you heard from the White House in response to any of these?
Yeah, the White House, just a few moments ago, Sarah Huckabee Sanders, the White House press secretary, saying that they would certainly welcome at the White House a rule that formalized this. The White House has also been complimentary, the president himself, of Jerry Jones and that decision. And I think, look, this has been an extraordinary couple of weeks. No one was talking about this issue this year, Amna. People forget that it was really last season when Colin Kaepernick sparked the national debate. President Obama was still president. And this had nothing to do, according to the people that were involved in the protests, with disrespecting veterans or the flag itself. It was about police brutality and incidents where minorities felt like they were unfairly targeted. Donald Trump became president. He sees this, or the rumblings of this starting to happen again in a new NFL season. Then he decides to speak out. So he created this issue. He created this crisis moment for the NFL. And now the White House is going to be in a position where they can claim credit for potentially a major policy change that would change the nature of these protests at the beginning of games that we've become used to.
Well, he created it to some degree, right, by changing the conversation. As you mentioned, the protests were always about over-policing in communities of color, about police brutality disproportionately affecting Black Americans. Those statistics are absolutely true, and we're not talking about that anymore. But to the degree that a president can actually sway the conversation, I mean, you take a look at what has happened over the last several weeks. Every time someone speaks up about this, whether it's an owner or a player or a sports anchor, the president can then put them in their crosshairs. Do you think it's had kind of a chilling effect over people who don't even want to get involved in the conversation anymore, lest they bring on the ire of the highest office in the land?
I think it has to. I mean, I think he's gotten a tremendous amount of political mileage out of something that he just tossed into a speech in Alabama, of all places, on the eve of a Senate election several weeks ago. He has changed the nature of the debate. He has changed the behaviors as part of this. We know that his campaign arm has been fundraising actively on this. We saw Vice President Pence travel to his home state of Indiana over the weekend to essentially launch his own protest of the protesters in leaving early from that game. So they've gotten a lot out of this, but I think the position that it puts the White House in of potentially standing up against the First Amendment is a unique one. It's unique to this era, and I think it does have to, even by the people, the admission of people involved in this closely, maybe people that be on President Trump's side, the debate is different. This debate over free speech has morphed into something that the original protesters never wanted it to be.
And Rick, it's worth pointing out in the context of today's events, the NHL has certainly not really been on the forefront of these issues when it comes to the national anthem and kneeling or protesting during it. There's only 30 black players in the league as opposed to the NFL, where 70% of the players are African American. But this is, to be sure, based on what you've said, what we've seen, this is not going away anytime soon in terms of the president being willing to weigh in.
Yeah, and that's a critical point, and I think it's important context given the racial dynamic of all of this, is that there weren't a lot of faces of color in that room. I should also note there weren't a whole lot of Americans in that room either. The NHL is a very international league. A lot of Eastern European, Russian, Swedish, Canadian players, including some on the Penguins roster. But I think, yeah, look, it's every time people receive an invitation like this to the White House, it's been pro forma in the past. It's something you did when you came to town. You come and play a Washington team. You have your moment at the White House. It's worked under Democratic and Republican presidents. It takes on a different meaning now. And I think the president, going out of his way to mention some of the other teams that have been there, he likes basking in the glory. Not particularly a hockey fan, but he did okay by my reckoning with the pronunciation and the terminology. No major gaffes around that. And it's going to be different anytime this president extends that invitation, because the nature of this president and this presidency are different. And because he is so willing to call people out for making political stands, he is going to inject that bit of a combative tone. And it's going to be a decision that every team faces for the duration of the Trump presidency. What do you want to do when President Trump calls?
We'll have to see how that moves forward. Now, no politics there today, but of course, we'll keep an eye on it. Rick Klein down in Washington, D.C. Thanks, Rick. Good to talk.
Thanks, Amna.
Thanks to all of you for watching as well. Remember, you can head over to abcnews.com at any time for continuing coverage, or download the ABC News app. Get all those breaking news headlines right to your phone. For now, I'm Amna Nawaz. See you back here soon.